I thought I was being generous, taking time off work, flying across the country, and helping organize my brother's birthday dinner. But as I stood there, wallet already open, I overheard a sentence that sliced right through me. Let her cover it, she makes more. My family, the people I'd sacrificed so much for, had quietly decided I was the financial safety net. No one asked if I could afford it. No one cared that I was drowning in student loans and sleepless nights. That moment shattered something. This is the story of how that birthday dinner exposed a lifetime of silent expectations, quiet resentments, and roles I never agreed to play. As I unpacked what really happened, I uncovered secrets, betrayals, and a harsh truth about what my family saw when they looked at me. But this isn't just a story of disappointment, it's about reclaiming power, redefining boundaries, and forcing a reckoning with those who took my silence as consent. I had already paid for the flight, taken unpaid time off, and spent 2 hours in line to buy the cake from his favorite bakery. My brother's 28th birthday wasn't even a milestone, but for some reason, my mom insisted on making it special. Special meant a dinner for 12 at an overpriced restaurant downtown, with a customized menu and a cake table. I didn't protest. I never do. I arrived early to help. I always do. I straightened table cards, double-checked the guest list, and made sure Dad's dietary restrictions were noted. My sister-in-law showed up in heels and didn't even greet me. Before asking if her seat had a good angle for photos, when the dinner began, I tried to enjoy myself. I really did. I let myself sip wine I couldn't afford, laugh at stories I'd heard a dozen times, and nod as my brother basked in the attention like a prince returning from war. No one asked how I was doing. I don't think anyone even noticed I was tired then. Came the check. The server brought it discreetly in a leather folder, placing it between my dad and me. That was all it took. My dad pushed it toward me without a glance, and my brother, still laughing from some joke, said loudly enough for everyone to hear, "Let her cover it, she makes more." It was a joke. Maybe. The table chuckled. But the sound of that sentence clanged inside my head like a dropped tray. Let her cover it. She makes more. My mouth went dry. No one looked at me directly, but the assumption hung there, thick and heavy. I reached for my card. What else could I do? Say no? Ask them to split it when the whole table clearly already decided it was mine? I didn't say anything. I didn't even know how to start. I paid the bill, nearly half my rent, and watched them toast again, carefree. My brother slapped my back like I was part of the celebration. No one thanked me, but that night, lying awake in the guest room, the sentence replayed in my head over and over. That wasn't the first time they had treated me like this. It was just the first time I heard it said out loud, and once I heard it, I couldn't unhear everything else that followed. The house was quiet. The kind of quiet that only follows a night of too much wine and too little honesty. I was the only one awake, again. Always the one who cleans, who makes the coffee, who makes sure the house doesn't fall apart while everyone else recovers. Started gathering the leftover decorations, used glasses, wrinkled napkins. The balloon arch had deflated just enough to look sad, and I realized it felt strangely fitting. Then I saw it, inside a glossy gift bag that had been shoved under a chair. At first, I assumed someone forgot it, maybe a guest who left early. But as I reached inside, my heart stuttered. My name. Written on a plain white envelope. In my brother's handwriting. I hesitated. It could have been anything, a thank you card, an old letter. But when I slid it open, what I found wasn't kind. It wasn't warm. It was a list, not typed, not even scribbled like a note, carefully written in bullet points, almost like someone had rehearsed the thoughts too many times to let them go unsaid. It read, "She always makes things about herself, acts like she's the martyr of the family, has a superiority complex just because she has a degree, thinks money gives her the right to lecture everyone, she'll pay. She owes us anyway." There was no greeting. No signature. Just those sentences, staring up at me like accusations etched in ink. I sat down slowly on the edge of the couch, letter still in my hand. The same couch we all sat on the night before, laughing, eating cake. The same room where I was told, half joking, but not really, that I made more, so I should pay. Was this written for someone else? Was he planning to show this to someone? Or worse, had it already been shared, passed around like a secret manifesto of everything my family believed but never dared to say to my face? My stomach twisted. I tried to remember a moment when my brother and I were close. I couldn't. I could only remember the birthdays I bought presents he never thanked me for, the college move I helped him with when no one else showed up, the rent I covered that one winter when he just needed a few weeks. Weeks turned into months. I never asked for the money back. I thought that's what siblings did, helped without keeping score, but apparently, he had been keeping one all along. I tucked the note into my bag and didn't tell anyone I found it. I drove my parents to brunch like nothing had happened. I answered my mom's question about work with polite restraint. I even smiled when my dad said I looked tired, like it was a flaw I should be apologizing for, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. She owes us anyway. What debt did they think I owed? For existing? For leaving home? For not collapsing under the weight of everything they never managed to become? That night, alone in my hotel room, I took out my laptop. I opened a blank document, and for the first time in years, I started writing down the things I had never said. I froze. Why mom doesn't call often. When she does, it's usually to ask when I'm coming home again or to tell me some vague story about a distant cousin's wedding I should attend. But this call was different. Her voice was sharp, clipped, trembling in a way that didn't match her usual passive-aggressive tone. Did you go through your brother's things? She asked again, slower this time, like she was giving me one last chance to lie. I found a note, I said. I didn't bother pretending. In a gift bag, with my name on it. Silence. She didn't deny it. She didn't ask what it said. She didn't ask how I felt. Instead, she let out a shallow breath and said, "That wasn't meant for you." I figured, I said. My voice was steady, even though my chest was thudding. Who was it meant for? Another pause. Then, like pulling teeth, it was part of a family discussion. Before the dinner. Discussion? I repeated. About me? She sighed. Your brother and your father were just trying to be practical. You know how tight things have been lately. And you never really say no when we ask. You've always been the strong one. The reliable one. That word again. Reliable. Like I was a spare tire in the trunk they only remembered when the car broke down. I didn't speak. I let the silence stretch, and for once, she filled it. I told them not to make it a big deal, she said. But your brother, he's resentful. He thinks you judge him. Do I? I asked. I don't. No, she replied. You always look tired around us. Like being home is a burden. I wanted to laugh. Being home was a burden. A house full of quiet expectations, unspoken deals, and the kind of emotional blackmail no one admits to. Every visit drained me. Every conversation left a residue I had to scrape off my skin, but I didn't say that. I'm not paying for another thing, I said instead. Not for dinners, not for gifts, not for last-minute emergencies. If you think that makes me selfish, fine. You don't mean that, she whispered, but I did. And the worst part? I think she knew it. I think she'd known it for years, but saying it out loud made it real. After the call ended, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I sat there with my hands clasped in my lap like a student waiting to be graded, and then I got the text from my cousin, Mia. Hey, are you okay? Aunt told Mom there was some drama. Just so you know, there's been talk. Stuff about how you changed after you got that job. There it was. The second slap of the day. My family hadn't just decided I should pay the check, they'd rewritten my character behind my back. I asked Mia what she meant. She hesitated, then sent a voice note. I listened. My brother had been telling people I acted better than them, that I thought I was too good for family events, that I always made others feel small when I talked about work or politics or money. It wasn't true. I'd spent most of my visits dimming myself, avoiding opinions, swallowing pride just to keep the peace, but it didn't matter. The story was already told. The version of me they believed in wasn't mine anymore. That night, I opened that document again. The one where I'd started writing everything I never said. But this time, I didn't just write for myself, I wrote to remember what I gave, what they took, what I sacrificed, and how none of it was ever enough to make me belong. The post was public. I double-checked twice, hoping maybe I was mistaken, that it was meant for a smaller circle. But there it was, sitting at the top of my feed like a slap waiting to land. Nothing like family to keep you humble. Grateful for the real ones who show up, not the ones who count receipts. The likes poured in. Cousins, old high school friends, even some family friends I hadn't spoken to in years. The comments stung more than the caption. Oof, we all have one of those, huh? You're the real one, bro. People who flash money always think they're better. I wasn't tagged by name, but everyone knew. And that was the point. He wanted me to see it without being able to call it out. He wanted to paint himself as the victim and me as the cold-hearted, transactional sibling who saw love as an invoice. But he forgot something. I still had the note, and unlike him, I didn't need to lie to get people to listen. I didn't post right away. I sat with it. Let the humiliation sink in. Let the quiet rage curl into something sharper. I reread that note a dozen times, not because I needed proof, but because I wanted to remind myself why silence wasn't noble anymore. So, I did what I never thought I'd do, opened that document again, added one more page, and posted a screenshot to my private account, just for close friends and family. The caption was simple. Since we're counting receipts, I included only part of the note. Just the final line, she'll pay. She owes us anyway. Within minutes, the DMs started. My aunt messaged first. What is this about? Who wrote that? Then my cousin Mia. Wait, this is real? He actually said that? Even people I hadn't spoken to in years were asking questions. And it didn't take long before someone leaked the screenshot beyond my circle. By the end of the day, I got a call from my brother. He didn't say hello. You really want to air this in public, he snapped. You're gonna destroy the family. Over one note? One note? I said, trying to stay calm. You mean the one where you call me arrogant and say I owe you? That one? You're overreacting, he said. It was just venting. You don't get what it's like for the rest of us. You think you've struggled, but you haven't. I was living on instant noodles while you were partying with my rent money, I snapped back. I've worked 3 jobs at once. I took care of things so none of you had to. But sure, tell me more about how I've never struggled. He went quiet. For once, no comeback. I didn't ask for this role, I added. You all just assigned it to me. You're making a scene, he finally muttered. No, I said. I'm setting a boundary. You're just not used to it. We hung up without resolving anything, but the next day, my mom called again. This time, no trembling voice. Just a quiet request. Can you take the post down? She asked. Why? I said. Because it's embarrassing? Or because it's true? Because he's your brother, she said. And this is making things worse. No, I said. This is what worse looks like when no one tells the truth. She didn't reply. And for the first time in my life, I didn't rush to comfort her silence. Later that evening, I received an email. No subject line. Just a scanned image of a page from a family ledger I didn't even know existed. At the top, in my dad's handwriting, was a list of contributions, my name beside a string of numbers. Underlined, and at the bottom, in faded ink, she knows. She agreed. But I never agreed to anything. I stared at her, unsure if I'd heard right. Someone's been calling the office? I asked, my voice LOW.my manager nodded, her expression careful. At first we thought it was spam. But the caller mentioned your full name. Claimed you were in financial trouble. Said we should reconsider your role. I felt my stomach drop. Do you know who it was? She hesitated. They wouldn't give a name, but we traced the number. It was a landline from your hometown. The room tilted for a moment. Not because I was surprised, but because deep down, I knew. It wasn't just about public shame anymore. Someone in my family had crossed the line from gossip to sabotage. I left work early that day. I told my manager the truth, or enough of it to explain the tension without unraveling. She understood more than I expected. When I got home, I called my father. He answered after 2 rings, like he'd been waiting. You finally ready to apologize? He asked. I almost laughed. For what? Not handing over my paycheck fast enough? Not nodding politely while you kept a secret account of everything I owed you? He didn't respond. So I kept going. You built a ledger behind my back. You let my brother write that note. You sat there while everyone decided I was just a bank with legs. That's not how it was, he said quietly. We were trying to keep the family stable. Stable? I repeated. You destabilized me. You watched me break myself trying to prove I was good enough. And when I stopped saying yes, you tried to ruin me. You think this is all about money? He asked. No, I said. It's about control. I hung up, then I turned off my phone, packed a bag, and drove 6 hours without telling anyone where I was going. For 2 days, I stayed at a small cabin I found online. No cell signal, no Wi-Fi. Just the silence I never had growing up. I reread the note one last time. Burned it in the fireplace. Then I deleted the post, not because I forgave them, but because I didn't want them occupying my digital life anymore. They had taken enough from me already. A week later, I mailed a letter. Not an email. Not a text. A real letter. Every single member of my family who had ever leaned on me without asking how I was doing, I told them the truth. Not to punish them, but to free myself. I wrote, from this point forward, I'm not your safety net. I'm not your silent provider. I'm your relative, not your resource. And if your love depends on what I give, then it was never love at all. Some responded. Some didn't. My mother wrote me a long letter that sounded more like a negotiation than an apology. My brother sent a voice memo that started with, I didn't mean for it to go this far, and ended with, you've changed. He was right. I started therapy. I rebuilt my finances. I created new rules for who gets access to me, and most of all, I stopped mistaking guilt for love. It's been 6 months. The holidays came and went. No phone calls. No invitations, and for the first time in years, I felt peace, not because they were gone, but because I finally stopped showing up for people who only saw me as useful when I was quiet, tired, and giving. I'm done paying for the silence they mistook for loyalty.